I appreciate you guys coming out to the webinar. Today, we're going to talk about contacting coaches. Let's go get into it. So our agenda today is going to be intro to contacting coaches, the different ways you can contact coaches. I'm going to give you guys a sample message that you can use, how coaches contact you, what coaches to contact, and I'm also going to show you how to find coaches' information right on the internet in under 30 seconds. So let's go. So, of course, you guys know a little bit about me. My name is Coach Vell, the voice of the recruiting process. I'm from Havre de Grace, Maryland, small town in Maryland. Played basketball and football for Havre de Grace in Aberdeen. And this is in high school, so 2010 to 2014. So I graduated in 2014. Former Division I quarterback at Prairie View A&M University, owner of Cross and Crown LLC, author of The Recruiting Compass, athletic recruiting mentor, coach, entrepreneur, and personal trainer. So the intro to contacting coaches. So being proactive in your recruiting process by reaching out to coaches helps you gain exposure and get noticed. You don't want to wait for coaches to start contacting you. You want to start contacting them and get your name on their recruiting board as soon as possible. This is the second biggest mistake that I see athletes go through, or I see athletes make. The first biggest mistake I see athletes make during the recruiting process is not taking their academics seriously. The second biggest mistake I see athletes make is not reaching out to enough coaches and giving up on reaching out to coaches. So you want to make sure that you're reaching out to all types of coaches. You want to make sure you're continuously reaching out to these coaches at all time. Doesn't matter if these coaches stop reaching out to you. If they're not replying, you want to keep going, being consistent and being persistent. As far as when you can contact these coaches, the NCAA rules state that if you're looking to go Division I or Division II, you coaches aren't allowed to answer or return your phone calls until June 15th or of your sophomore year or September 1st of your junior year, depending on your sport. That's when coaches will be able to start reaching back out to you. So if you're reaching out to coaches now and you aren't in that time period or your contact period hasn't came up yet, that could be the reason why coaches aren't responding to your messages, is because they aren't allowed to. Now, I know I get a lot of questions from athletes on how do athletes get offers before this time period, or how do I see athletes getting scholarships before this period. Is because they're offering them through their coach, their trainer, or through their parents. They're not directly talking to their specific athlete that they're recruiting. So that's how they communicate before this time period, this contact period. Once your contact period begins, you want to make sure that you're following up these communications with phone calls. You can start sending out emails, direct messages, phone calls, those types of things, leaving voicemails to coaches right now if you're before your contact period, to get your name on the recruiting board so that when your contact period rolls around, you're a step ahead of all the other athletes. As far as, like I said, contacting these coaches, you can initiate the contact by emailing them, direct messaging them, calling them, text messaging them. That's the way you contact them. The first method that we're going to go over and we're going to cover tonight is social media. Coaches are very active on social media, and they're always looking for new recruits across these social media platforms. So if you don't have a Twitter, if you don't have an Instagram, if you don't have a Facebook, a LinkedIn, you need to start creating these social media accounts, and you need to start being active on these accounts. And when I say active, you need to start posting your highlight tapes. You need to start posting your workout videos. You need to start posting your transcripts, any pictures that of you playing. You need to start liking, retweeting, following coaches, DMing coaches. You need to start doing these things, being active and creating a good social media presence, which we're going to go over later. Social media is probably the number one way or the best way to reach out to coaches right now. So if you're not reaching out to coaches through social media and you're not being active on social media, that could be a reason you're not being recruited, or you need to start doing those things so you can be recruited. As far as reaching out to these coaches, you want to reach out to these coaches, introduce yourself. So let them know who you are, where you're from, what positions you play, all of your stats, your height, your weight, your stats, your GPA and your grades. You need to start telling these coaches these things. You also need to share your highlight tape with them. So don't be afraid to shoot them a direct message or quote their tweet or comment under their pictures, your highlight tape link. So you need to start doing that as well. Again, like I said, make sure you're following these coaches. Make sure you're DMing these coaches. Make sure you're dropping your tape under anything that they post. They're always looking for recruits across these platforms. Something that is super, super key is, and something that I know you guys as young men and young adults and young women, you guys are worried about your follower count and how many people follow you and how many people you don't follow, and things like that. Don't worry about that right now as a recruit. You need to follow as many coaches as possible so that you can message them and you can send them your film. It doesn't matter about your follower count. It doesn't matter about how many people are following you or how many people you're following. It doesn't matter about those things right now. So make sure you don't worry about that. As far as sending messages to these coaches, try to be different. Try to add emojis to your messages. Try to add bold text to your posts and messages. Like I said, there's thousands and hundreds of coaches, and there's also thousands and hundreds of athletes who's sending these messages to these coaches. So you got to be different. You got to stand out. You got to try to differentiate yourself from the other student athletes. Something that is super, super key is creating a good, strong, positive social media presence. I don't know any of you guys on here personally, but what I will say is a lot of kids send me their profiles and I check them and I instantly click off because what I see on there is you guys aren't creating strong social media presences. And what I mean by that is I see a lot of athletes on there who claim they're athletes. They're worried about the drip. They're worried about dressing cool and dressing nice, which is nice. You can do that. But if that's all you're posting on your social media and no football videos, no basketball videos, no workout videos, no highlight tapes, none of those things, how are coaches going to know that you are interested in getting to the next level? So don't worry about posting all your drip. That's cool to post a cool outfit that you have, but make sure you're posting other things as well. As far as what you're posting, I see a lot of athletes, trying to keep up with the wave and trying to keep up with the times right now. So they're posting videos of them smoking, drinking, having guns in their pictures, throwing up gang signs, throwing up the middle finger. If you think coaches aren't looking at these things, you're highly mistaken. I'm sorry to say. And I can tell you a story real quick. When I was going through my recruiting process, I actually lost 3 scholarship offers. And whoever read my book, you know the reason why. So make sure you're creating a strong social media presence. Make sure you're being active on social media, and make sure you guys are doing the right things on social media. Again, just to reiterate before we get off of social media, make sure you're contacting these coaches. Make sure you're following as many coaches as possible. Make sure you're DMing them. Make sure you're dropping your tape under anything they post. And again, make sure you're creating a strong, positive social media presence. The next method I want to talk about is emailing, right? So emailing is the second best way to contact coaches. It's a very effective way to get noticed. College coaches check their emails several times throughout the day. So you want to make sure you're sending them these emails. When you send them these emails, you want to make sure you're following up on these emails, because coaches get hundreds of emails a day. So you definitely want to follow up on these messages. As far as creating a good email, you want to make sure that it's clear, it's concise. You want to make sure that it's into sections, and I'm gonna show you a sample message in here in a second. But I see too many athletes have just one big paragraph when you're sending an email or a direct message to a coach. You guys jumble it up. You put it all in one paragraph. It's not clear. It's not concise. It's not sectioned out to where coaches are going to read it. And I can tell you right now, if you're doing that, that could be the reason why coaches aren't replying to your messages and they're not reading your messages, because it's not broken down. It's not in paragraph form. It's not clear and concise. So you want to make sure you're creating clear, concise emails. And then as far as subject lines, you want to make sure you're creating catchy subject lines. Something like, "Hey coach, have you seen this athlete?" or "Amazing 6'6" a point guard. You just got to create different subject lines to grab the attention of coaches, because like I said, they're getting hundreds of emails a day from different athletes, and you got to be different. Your email has to stand out. They have to want to click your email, open it, and read it. As far as what you should send, and something that I help my athletes that I mentor with, and something that's actually been helping them out tremendously and hugely, is including a personalized video in their email and messages when they're sending them. And what I mean by that is creating a personalized video. You guys are on your phones all day anyway. Take 30 minutes to create a video for 10 different coaches each day. And that personalized video can be something short, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, to where you're saying, "Hey," so I'm gonna just use Alabama as an example. You could say, "Hey, Coach Saban, my name is Lavelle. I play quarterback. I'm 6'4", 215. I threw for 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. I've always been interested in the Alabama program. Below is my recruiting profile. Click the link. Let me know what you think about my highlight tape, and I would love to hear your feedback." That's simple. That's short. That's 15 seconds of personalized video that's personalized to that coach and to that program that shows you're interested. And why this works is because 99% of the student athletes that you guys are competing with aren't doing this. They're not taking the time out of their day to create a personalized video and send it to coaches. So that's why the 1% of the athletes that do, they get the best responses. They get the emails back. And the coach might not even be interested in you. They might not even be wanting to recruit you, or they might be done recruiting your class or your position, but they're more inclined to respond to you because you took that extra step. So they might not want to recruit you, but they'll respond to your message by saying, "Hey, Lavelle, I liked your video. Thank you for taking your time out to create it, but our recruiting class is closed," or something like that. Or they might respond and say they're interested. So try to make that personalized video and make sure that it's personalized to that personal coach and to that school, and send it out. And I guarantee you'll get some results with that. And then, of course, try to add a header or a picture in your header, and whatever else you can come up with. Try to be different. Try to stand out from these other college recruits. The next method we're going to get into is phone calls. So this is something that a lot of athletes I see, and a lot of athletes that I mentor right now, are scared to do. They're scared to pick up the phone and call a coach and talk to them about the recruiting process. So a well-placed phone call can be one of the most impactful ways to get your name on the recruiting board of these coaches. So taking time to personally call these coaches is a great way to actually give yourself a better opportunity and set yourself apart. Another story that I can tell you guys is when I was going through my recruiting process, when I was calling coaches, I actually got better responses because coaches used to tell me, "Oh, wow, I never thought that an athlete would call me personally," or "I don't get a lot of calls from athletes. I'm the one that's always calling athletes and picking up the phone and reaching out to them." So it sets yourself apart. It gives yourself a better opportunity. And next time the coach is thinking about recruiting players, they're going to think about your name because you called them. You took that extra step. The best time to start calling coaches is after you sent them a couple introductory emails. So like I said, it's good to follow up. So once you send them an introductory email, or you sent them a couple emails, pick up the phone and call them. And something that's super, super key, again, is contacting these coaches and when to contact them. And something that I'm going to keep referring to throughout this webinar is my athletes that I mentor, is because they're seeing results. The best time to start contacting these coaches is early in the morning. The first thing you guys do when you roll over in the morning anyway is get on your phones. You get on Twitter, get on Instagram, you're texting your girl back, you're texting your boys back in the group message. So why don't you take 5 minutes to send 5 coaches emails, or call 5 coaches in the morning? And why this works is because coaches are just starting their day just like you. They're on the way to the office. They're in the office preparing for the day. And you don't want to contact them throughout the day because that's when they get busy. That's when you're going to see the least responses. So either early in the morning or at nighttime when everything is settling down. And then on the weekends and on holidays are the best time to call coaches because that's when you're going to get a better response rate. Now, in my mentoring program, we do provide one-on-one role plays as well. So I get on the phone, some of my athletes, we get on the phone and we go over what coaches are going to ask you, how coaches are going to ask it, so you're comfortable to call coaches. Now, here's a sample message. We're going to break down a sample message that I created. So this is what I'm talking about. You see how it's not a one paragraph all jumbled together. It's clear, concise, it's broken down into sections, everything's sectioned off. So the first thing on creating a message, email, a direct message, what you want to do is you want to be personalized to that specific coach. So you want to say, "Hey, Coach Smith. Hey, Coach Johnson. Hey, Coach Saban. Hey, Coach whoever." You want to make sure that you say the coach's last name in that message. Do not just leave it, "Hey, Coach," or "Hello, Coach," or "What's up, Coach." Make sure you include their last name. Next, you want to just be concise, have an opening. So I've been following Clemson University. I've been following Jackson State University. I've been following Marist University for a while now. And I love the way you guys compete. I wanted to connect with you because I would love to become a part of your program. And then what you want to do is you want to introduce yourself. So my name is blank. I'm class of blank quarterback, whatever position you play. I attend your high school. You want to put your high school, and then you want to lay out your GPA. You want to lay out all of the stats. You want to lay out if you're working to get better. You want to lay out all of your accomplishments if you have any. You want to lay out, and then you want to just tell them, like, I'm dedicated to getting better and perfecting my craft. And then always include a call to action in these messages. So tell a coach what to do. Tell them to click the link below to watch your profile, to watch your highlight tape, or ask them for feedback. You know, you gotta do those little things. So for the rest of my athletic stats, highlight video, academic transcript, and personal statement, visit my recruiting profile. Have the link in there. You know, you can copy and paste the link right into your message. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you. And then at the bottom, make sure this is super key: your name, your class, your high school, your link to your profile, your phone number, and then your social media accounts. So all the ways that coaches can find you, contact you, and hit you back up. And that's why I said it's super important that it's not jumbled up. It's straight, clear, concise, straight to the point. Coaches can read that message in 30 seconds. Click the link in the message right there, and watch your highlight tape, which is the first step of getting noticed and getting exposure. And then you can follow up. You start contacting coaches. Y'all start building a relationship, and you work your way up to an offer. But this is the first step. So you have to create clear, concise messages that you're going to send to these coaches. Also, another step that you can do is you can copy your message that you're sending to coaches, paste it in your notes. I'm sure everybody has an iPhone. Paste it in your notes, or if you have an Android, paste it in your notes. And then that way you can copy and paste it right into your email app, or right into your Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. All you got to do is change the coach's name, the program, change some little things around, and then you can just copy and paste. And then that way you're cutting down time on literally typing it out every single message. Now, we're going to get into the different ways that coaches contact you. The first type of way that a coach is going to contact you, or a program is going to contact you, is they're going to send you questionnaires. So that's going to be the first piece of mail you receive, the first piece of email, physical mail that you'll receive from coaches. All a questionnaire is a form that coaches use to build the list of their recruits. So if you're interested in these questionnaires, you should fill them out. If you're very interested in these questionnaires, you should contact the coach, let them know that you're interested, let them know that you filled out the questionnaire, and send them your information. So how you know it's a questionnaire is they'll be asking for certain pieces of information. So if you ever got these forms in the mail, or if you ever got an email with these types of things, it's going to ask you for your name, your height, your weight, your GPA, what position you play, you know, all of those different things. That's a questionnaire. All that means is that's the first step. They're building a list of all recruits in that class, and they want you to fill it out. That's all that means. So that doesn't mean you're being actively recruited by that school. I see a lot of athletes who make that mistake. So make sure you aren't getting tricked by these questionnaires. But if you are interested in them, make sure you fill them out and you contact the coach and let them know that you are interested in that school. The second way is mass emails. So coaches will send out mass emails to get athletes' attention and get athletes interested in their program. All a mass email is different forms. So it might be information on their school, informational guides. So it might be how many championships they're winning, their new jerseys they're wearing, the different dates they got coming up, their schedule, things like that. It might be a pamphlet. It might be a questionnaire. It might be just pictures. And it might be camp dates, you know, just sending you different things. This does not mean you're being actively recruited. I see too many athletes think that they're being recruited or actively recruited by a school when they get these different emails. All this is mass emails. They're sending this out to thousands and thousands of prospects that they gather from that questionnaire. So do not get tricked into thinking you're being actively recruited by these mass emails. But again, if you are interested in this program, or you are interested in these schools that are sending you these mass emails or sending these mass letters, which I'm gonna get into, it's a great way to gather information on those programs that you're interested in. So you can use these things as talking points when you start talking to coaches. You can use these things to schedule camp visits, or schedule unofficial visits to that school to see them play and things like that. And then mass mail. So coaches will send out mass mail. Mass mail is the same thing as mass emails. It's just now that they send it out in a mail form to your house, to your schools, to your coaches. You might see mass mail when, you know, say you're in the locker room and, you know, when coaches come around with all those different letters and they're passing out to different athletes, ask one of those athletes to open them up. You know, sometimes it might be personal letters and things like that we're getting into, but I guarantee you it's just mass mail, where it's just informationals, questionnaires, pictures, and dates like that. So that doesn't mean you're being actively recruited. That just means you're in their database and you're on their list of 1,000 recruits that they are potentially looking at. So personal emails. If you are getting personal emails from a coach, this means you have passed the initial evaluation. Coaches use personal emails to show how interested they are in a recruit, in an athlete, in a student athlete. That's how they show that they're interested initially. While this email does not guarantee you an offer, it's a good sign that you are being actively recruited by that program. These emails will have their signature on the bottom. So if you ever want to differentiate the mass emails from the personal emails, this is how. So number one, they'll be speaking to you personally. So they'll start saying your name. Hey, Lavelle, we want to invite you to one of our camps, or let's schedule a call, or we've been checking you out, different things like that. They're going to start talking to you personally. It's not going to be about the school anymore. It's not going to be informationals, questionnaires. It's going to be personal emails to you. And the second way that you can tell is the signature on the bottom of the emails. So if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it'll have a signature that'll say Coach Saban, or, I'm just using them for example, but the different coaches, and it'll be the position coaches, the recruiting coordinators, and those different types of coaches sending you those messages and emails. So that's how you'll know it's a personal email. And that's how you differentiate the ones where you're actually being recruited by a school and the ones where you're actually just being sent information and stuff like that. It's important to check your email daily so that you can respond to these emails quickly. You want to answer the questions that coaches are asking in these emails, and you want to include your upcoming schedule as well. So if you have anything in your upcoming schedule, any games, any camp tours that you're going on, any tournaments, make sure you send those out to coaches as well. And then personal mail. So this is when you start receiving different types of personal things in the mail to your house, to your high school, things like that. When you receive personal mail, this means you're one of their top targets. So you can start receiving these things by direct message. You can start receiving these things by mail to your house. And most of the time, it's going to be a handwritten letter. So where a coach actually took pen, took it to paper, wrote it down, wrote a message out to you, signed it with ink, and sent it to you directly. It could be personal promo pictures. So when you see athletes getting those things made on social media, when they're getting recruited by schools with their different jerseys on, or, just different things like that, they'll start putting your pictures in there and sending it to you, or they'll start sending you personal letters asking you to come to their camp personally. It'll be personal communication. So that's how you differentiate personal emails and personal letters from mass emails and mass letters. When you do get these personal letters and personal mail, you want to continue to build a better relationship with these coaches. You can either send your own handwritten letter back. So go to Dollar Tree, get you a little a dollar letter. It's $1.50. Write it on it and send it back to coaches. You can follow up. You can also follow up by thanking them with a phone call. So you can call them or email them, thanking them for the personal letter you've received from these coaches and thanking them for their interest in you. When I was going through my recruiting process, I actually kept a shoebox of my personal letters that I received from coaches. And my mom still has that shoebox till this day. I'll probably post it on social media sometime or something like that when I go to my mom's house. But I still have a whole box of these things. And then phone calls. If a coach will schedule a phone call with athletes, or they'll call athletes randomly if they are very interested in that athlete or in that recruit. So if they're calling you, or they're scheduling a phone call and they reach out to you and say, hey, what's a good time to get on the phone to talk? This means you're one of their top recruits. This means they're very, very interested in you. And you're along that process of getting a scholarship offer. During these conversations, you will want to build a better relationship with these coaches. And you also want to prepare for these calls. So do some research on the school. Maybe know their record, maybe know who they're playing the next day. You want to be prepared to talk to these coaches. You also should have questions that you want answered by the program. And you also should be prepared to answer any questions that they ask you. And then once you and the coach are done speaking on the phone, you always want to follow up with the email, thanking the coach for the time, thanking the coach for the interest. If coaches ask you for any pieces of information like your transcript or anything like that, you want to make sure you include that in that message or in that email after the phone call. So if a coach has you on the recruiting list, they'll send you camp invites. This can be a personal camp invite like we just went over, or it could be a generic camp invite like we went over as well. So it could be a mass camp invite where they're just sending you an informational on the whole overall camp dates, or they can actually send you an email, phone call, or a message asking you to personally come to that camp and perform. These camps are keys to impressing coaching staff, because these are the camps, or these are the coaches who will actually be offering you scholarships. So these coaches would be the ones that are actually offer you a scholarship and get you noticed and get you in the door. If you are interested in these particular schools, you should talk with your parents about attending these camps because they aren't free. They will cost some money, and you want to make sure that you can go to the ones that are most beneficial to you, which we teach you in my mentoring program as well. If you're going to attend the camp, if you talk to your parents, you guys sat down, you talked about you want to go to these camps and you want to make sure that you attend them, you're going to call the coach or email them, let them know that you will be in attendance, you will be attending that camp, and you look forward to meeting them in person. So when you get there, you want to make sure you go up to them. You want to make sure you introduce yourself, let them know that you're here, let them know that you made it, and let them know to watch you throughout the whole camp. And then the only thing left to do is show out. So you definitely want to go to these camps, and you definitely want to be prepared because you never want to go to a camp and leave a bad impression on the coach. Coaches are always watching no matter what you think. So if you go to a camp, you lay an egg, that's cool, but it's not cool to have bad days every time you go to a camp. So majority of the time you go to camps, make sure that you are putting on a good performance, you're leaving a good impression, and you're making that coach want to recruit you. But I've seen a lot of student athletes get offered from camps. I've got offered at a few camps myself. So camps are a great way to get offered and to get noticed throughout the recruiting process. We're going to go over some questions that you should ask coaches when you're preparing and questions that coaches are going to ask you. So like I said before, when you're preparing to communicate with these coaches, you want to come up with 4 different types of questions. If your parents have any questions, athletes should ask these questions. Your parents should give you the questions and ask them. You never want to have your parents contacting these coaches for you because coaches want to see you're responsible enough to take control of your recruiting process. So make sure the athlete is always reaching out and contacting these coaches. Now, these types of questions that we're going to go over help you find the best school for you and get you a good feel of the program so you know which schools you're interested in and you want to be recruited by. So number 1 is academic questions. It gives you a good feel of the academic side of the school. Number 2 is athletic questions, gives you a good feel of the athletic side of the school. Number 3 is cultural questions, which gives you a good feel of the culture and the nature of the school. And then number 4 is financial questions, which is always about the money. So some academic question examples. So when you're talking to coaches and you want to get a better feel for their academic side, you might want to ask them some of these questions. And just keep in mind, these are just some examples. You can create your own academic questions, your own athletic questions, your own cultural and financial questions as well. But these are just some examples to kickstart you and give you somewhere to start at. Here's some academic question examples. So what are the most common majors on the team? If you want to know what majors that you might be interested in studying and where a lot of the athletes are spending their time academically, because in college, you are going to spend a lot of time in study hall, with your professors and in your major and taking those classes. So it is still school at the end of the day. What is the average GPA of the athletes on the team? So if you want to see where the average GPA of the team, are they on the lower spectrum or are they on the higher end of the spectrum? You want to figure those things out. Are there any career development programs to help you with finding opportunities after graduation? That's something that's super, super key and a lot of athletes overlook. When we're talking about reality and we're talking about getting recruited, yes, getting recruited, going to high school, going to college is a major key. But what is even more major is setting yourself up for success when you graduate. So, and when we're talking about real life examples, the majority of athletes don't go to the NFL. They don't go to the NBA. They don't go to the NHL. They don't go to the NBL. They don't play professional sports. It's only a small percentage. So you want to find out if that school is going to be able to assist you or help you with career opportunities once you graduate and if sports don't work out. So that's why that question is super, super key to asking. Then we go and talk about athletic questions. So this is when you want to get a good feel of the athletic side of the program. So these are the basic questions. So what type of schemes you run to make sure that you fit in their scheme and you fit the type of offense or defense or special teams that they run or they play, because you never want to go to a school that's not a scheme fit and you don't fit their scheme and now you're sitting the bench. How many players are they taking at your position? That's something that's key too. So that's something that that's something that where you're not wasting your time. So you tell a coach, you ask how many players they're recruiting at your position. If they tell you 3 and you already know they offered 2 already, then you know they're only looking for one more. Or if they tell you 3 and they already offer 3, that means they already have their recruits and they're waiting for one of them to fall through, and now they're recruiting. So that's something that's key as well, is to know where you are in the recruiting process and on the recruiting board. And then what do you look for in my position when you're recruiting them? Or what do you look for when you're recruiting my position? That's something that's super, super key. So you can tailor your highlight tape. You can tailor what you're doing and what you're working on to what the coach is recruiting and looking for. And then where do you see my role being on the team? So that's something that's key too. You want to ask them this because you want to see what their plans for you are, what type of future they have for you if you come to their school. So that's something that's super key as well. And then cultural questions are just things like where do athletes live? So you definitely want to figure out your living situation and how do athletes live. You also want to ask what is there to do outside of campus, and then what do players do outside of football? Because in reality, college is about sports and trying to make it to the NFL, the NBA, to play professionally, but it's also about experiences. It's also about experience in life. So a lot of time is going to be spent in the academics on the classroom and study hall. A lot of time is going to be spent playing your sport and at practice, but you are going to have free time and you're going to have to learn how to manage it. So you definitely want to see what there is to do outside of campus, what there is to do in the community, what do other players do, what do they do when they get together outside of football to have fun and those types of things, because college should be an enjoyable experience. You want to go somewhere where you want to enjoy it. And then, of course, lastly is financial questions. What type of financial aid packages does your program offer? And then, of course, after you receive an offer, what does my scholarship offer cover? And then once you get to financial side, when you guys start talking about financial plans and all those different types of coverages and things like that, that's where your parents can step in. That's when that's when they can start asking questions and start talking to the coaches. So some questions coaches might ask you. So when you're starting to talk to coaches, it's sort of like a job interview. You're going to be interviewing them. They're going to be interviewing you. So that's how you should treat it. These coaches want to learn more about you and your personality more than anything. So a lot of athletes think that when they get on the phone with these coaches, they're going to ask them a bunch of scheme questions, a bunch of athletic questions and things like that, where yeah, they might ask a few, but most of the time they're going to ask more about you and your personality and your character and what you're doing off the field. So be prepared for that as well. So some questions coaches might ask you: how's your season going? Why do you think you can play at this level? What are you looking for in a program? What are your GPA and test scores? What is your character and integrity like? How are you in the classroom? What schools are you talking to? What's your character like? Things like that. That's what coaches are going to ask you. Just some of the questions they'll ask. They have plenty of more questions, but that's something to start you off and something that you can think about as coaches are contacting you. What coaches you should contact. Now, this is something that's super, super key, and I want all of you guys to make sure you're paying attention. If you haven't took anything away from this webinar, take this away from this webinar. You do not want to contact the head coach when you're making first contact. They will never answer your messages. I've seen so many athletes try to start off with contacting the head coach, and that's never going to work. The head coach is not the person that recruits the talent, and the head coach is not the person that recruits the athletes and the recruits. The people that recruit the talent and the people that actually recruit you and who you should be contacting is a recruiting coordinator. And I'm going to show you how to find these coaches' information in a second, but you need to contact the recruiting coordinator, your position coaches, the coach in charge of recruiting your area, or any grad assistants. Those are the best coaches to contact. Those are the coaches that report up to the head coach to get you an offer. So some schools even have hierarchies or ladders. So the first person that starts looking at your film is the person in charge of your recruiting. Once you're recruiting your area. So once that person finds their recruits, they send that film to the position coach. Once the position coach likes your film and okays it, they send that film to the head coach, and then that's when you start getting offers. Or you can even get offers at the position coach level. But that's the hierarchy of the recruiting process or recruiting cycle with the coaches in college sometimes. So it just depends. But again, do not contact the head coach when making first contact. They will never answer. You want to start sending your messages, your emails, your direct messages, your phone calls to the recruiting coordinators, the position coaches, the coaches in charge of recruiting your areas, and the grad assistants. So those are the people that you want to start recruiting or sending your information to. And then let me show you how to find these coaches' information. So first off, you want to go to Google. Google is your best friend for finding camps, for finding coaches, all those different things and all that different information. Google's your best friend. So I'm gonna just use my school as an example. Prairie View A&M, I'm repping them. Use them as an example. So you're gonna go to Google. You're gonna type in any school that you want, PVAMU. You're gonna type in athletic staff directory. And what that is that's just basically a phone book or like an informational page where it has all of the athletic staff information. And you're going to search that. When you search it, it's going to bring up staff directory, and it should say your college that you're looking at. You click that. When you click it, it's going to bring up their website, the athletic website. That's every athletic school, every college that plays sports has an athletic website. So it's going to pull that up. And on this website, as you can see the AD, so the athletic director, the VP, all those different things. Let me go back. Sorry. So the compliance, equipment staff, everything like that. So you can either scroll down and find football or find your sport, or you can go right here to categories. Go down to your sport, hit football, hit go. And then now you have literally all the coaches' information: head coach, recruiting coordinator, assistant coach / cornerbacks, defensive coordinator, receivers, D-line, nickels, quarterback coach, linebacker, strength and conditioning coach, grad assistant. You have all of the coaches, and look next to it. It has their email addresses. It has the phone numbers. So, and then another situation is if you ever run into this where they're only giving you the last 7 of their phone number, all you have to do is scroll up to the top, look over here, and it'll show you their area code starts with 936. So then you would just put 936-261-9100 if you were going to call them. And then now you have their phone number. That easy. So just to give you an example, if I say I played wide receiver right now, and I came to this page and I wanted to contact the coach, I'm going to go down to the recruiting coordinator. I see Mark Fredericks. I'm going to contact him. I'm going to copy his information. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go to my mail. I'm going to paste this information. I'm going to paste my message, and then I'm going to send it off. Create a good subject line, and then I'm going to send it off that quick, 10 seconds to find the coach information. Then I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to the receivers coach. Okay, Coach Bailey. I'm going to do the same thing for him. Copy and paste. Send it off. And then I might even give Coach Bailey a call. So 936-261-3953. I'm calling him, giving him a call. Hey, Coach, I'm Lavelle. I play receiver at this high school. I got your information from your athletic website and just wanted to call and talk about the recruiting process. Do you have some time to talk? If they say yes, you get into your conversation. If they say no, okay, sorry about that, Coach. I know it's a bad time, but what's a good time to call back? Boom. Now you set a follow-up appointment to when you're going to contact these coaches back, and you guys are going to have a time to talk. So that easy. Now, somebody give me a school. I'm going to show you that this works for every single school. Somebody give me a school. Take yourself off mute and give me a school.
Okay. Let's say Iowa Community College, for example.
All right, I'll do both of them. So somebody said USC and somebody said Iowa Community College. So USC, type in USC, like I said, still have the athletic staff directory right there, and hit Google and hit search. And you see, look, staff directory, USC athletics, click go. Then again, it has all of the people that you need to contact. So then you're going to go over here to categories, scroll down to football, hit go, and then now look, you have their phone number and their emails. Now, this is a good example because not all athletic sites are going to look the same. So as you see, UFC has the same emails and the same phone numbers for each coach. And you're going to run into this a lot when you get and you're trying to contact the bigger schools, the USCs, the Penn States, the Miamis, the Alabamas, because they do their recruiting a little different. As you know, they go out and find their talent. They go out and get 5 stars, 4 stars, things like that. So that's how they do their recruiting. So you're not going to find their personal emails or phone numbers. Now, Prairie View A&M, for example, like I just showed you, that's still D1, but that's D1 AA. And you see each coach had their own email and their own phone number. So as you go through the recruiting process and you're going through contacting coaches and finding their information, you got to just weed out the different ones. So you can still call this number. Sometimes you might get an answer. Sometimes you'll get a voicemail. Leave a voicemail. Send the email to this football message. Like I said, the grad assistants are great people to contact because they actually have emails and phone numbers. So send it to their grad assistants. Grad assistants are people who graduated from that college and are trying to get a job. So what they'll do is they'll try to find talent and try to bring in some good talent to get it to the recruiting coordinators as well. So they're looked at as somebody that brings value. So you definitely want to try to contact the grad assistants if you can. But like I said, the bigger programs are going to look like this, where they all have the same email and the same phone number because they do their recruiting a little differently. And then now you said you want to search Iowa community. You said Iowa community?
Yeah.
Iowa Western, or is it just Iowa?
Sure, yeah, just any.
Okay, so if you say Iowa Western, look, Iowa Western Community College Athletic Staff Directory. It's going to pull up the same thing, Staff Directory, Iowa Western. You click it. Now it brings up the staff directory. See, now this one doesn't have a search thing. So now you just scroll down to your sport, find their coach, their phone numbers, their emails are all right there. And now you're set to go to start emailing them, to start calling them. And then you can find them on social media as well. Sometimes if you click on the coach, it'll bring up their whole profile where it shows you their personal phone number, their email. Sometimes it'll have their social media links to where you can follow their. So look, there goes their social media link right at the bottom. Or you can just try to follow them. Go to social media, go to the search bar, hit Mike Blackburn or Coach Blackburn or something like that, and you can follow them on social media that way. But that's the easiest way to find coaches' emails and phone numbers. Under 30 seconds. Like I said, you can literally copy and paste their email into the mail app, and now you're good to go. You create your message, you paste your message in there, and you send it off. It's that easy.
Since you're on their website, can I ask you something real quick, or should I just wait till the end of the webinar?
Go ahead.
So if you scroll up to men's basketball, I just want to ask you something because they only give 3 emails. So you see the head coach and the 2 assistant coaches. So in this situation, do you contact the assistant coaches first since they don't have anybody else?
Yes, you will contact the assistant coaches. So I just was using examples for football, but as you see, other sports aren't going to have the recruiting and things like that because football, of course, is one of the biggest sports at most schools. So like I said, the same rules apply. You never want to contact the head coach first because they're doing other duties. They're doing other specific tasks that aren't pertaining to recruiting. Recruiting is all done by the assistant coaches, the recruiting coaches, and things like that. So if I was going to play women's basketball, I'm going to find the assistant coaches and contact them. Like you said, men's basketball, I'm going to contact Bobby and Davey. I'm going to contact them. If I play baseball, I'm going to contact all of the assistant coaches. And that's something else that is good for contacting coaches too. Now that you bring that up, is don't be afraid to contact every coach on the staff that pertains to your specific position. So say you played football right here and you wanted to contact and you played linebacker. I would contact, the defensive coordinator, linebacker coach, I'm contacting him. National recruiting coordinator, I'm contacting him too. He's a recruiting coordinator and D-line coach, I'm contacting him too. I'm contacting all the different coaches on that coaching staff that pertains to my specific position and what I'm trying to do. And then let me go back. And then now I'm going to open. So that's going to conclude what we talked about today. I'm gonna open it up for Q&A for any questions, comments, concerns, what you guys want to talk about. You can either take yourself off of mute and ask your question out loud, or you can drop your questions in the chat. I'll answer questions for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then I'll get you guys up out of here.
Can I ask first again?
Yeah, go ahead. Nobody else is asking.
I wanted to ask you. You said something about a specific recruiter. You say I just asked you about like the men's basketball. You saw how there was like only 3 emails given. Do you still find a specific recruiter for the school, or do you only contact the assistant coaches?
So that's a good question. So depending on the school, it's going to have, depending on how big the school is, depending on what level the school's at, they're going to have different positions on the coaching staff. So excuse me. So say for example, that was a community college, a JUCO, right? They don't have as much money as the D1 coaches. So like you've seen, the basketball only has an assistant coach, the assistant coaches. Those assistant coaches, I guarantee, are recruiting coaches. Those are the coaches that go out and recruit for the coaching staff. So you will want to contact those assistant coaches. The only football is different because they have so many coaches, to whereas they can actually dedicate specific coaches to just recruiting. So that's when they'll just have a recruiting coordinator. But as you've seen on that last screen on when I was showing you, that recruiting coordinator also had a specific position they coach. So it's just knowing the different coaches to contact, because like you said, basketball, you're going to contact the assistant coaches or whichever coaches that's not the head coach on that page. But it's just the different levels as you go up, D2, D1, D3. It's just depends on how much money they have to where they can actually pay a recruiting coordinator, or it's just they have a specific coach that's recruiting your area, like we talked about earlier in the webinar.
No, thank you.
Yep, no problem. And then somebody in the chat, Samir, said, "What if you don't have any film because there was no season last season?" That is super crucial. That's something that I help you with in my mentor program. But what you want to do is you want to create workout videos. So you need anytime you're working out, putting in extra work on the field, on the court. Anytime you're in the weight room, you need to have somebody record that, and you need to put them out on your social media pages. You need to send them in emails. You need to send them in messages. You need to put those things on social media and send those things to coaches to update them on your progress. That's something that's super, super, super key during the pandemic right now. As well as if you don't have any film, you better try to get some practice film and make that a highlight tape. You might want to get out to camps. So you might want to get on a 7-on-7 team. You might need to go to some camps and showcases, but you need to get somehow get some film to get coaches interested in you. How does the process change if you are from out of the country, Canada? So I get this a lot. And to be honest, I don't want to speak on it because I'm not an expert in out of state, getting recruited out of state, to be honest. I have no clue. I don't know too many people that's got recruited from out of state. Only people that I know that came from out of state, out of country. I mean, not out of state, but out of country, is one of my JUCO teammates, and he went JUCO, and then he went, which is junior college, and then he went from junior college to a D1 college. So that's the only way I know of. I'm not too sure of out of state processes or how that works. So I wouldn't be the guy for you, unfortunately. But the information that I gave you in here, you could use some of that to contact coaches and ask them about the process. So I have no clue about that. Sorry about that, man. Any other questions?
Do you make highlight videos? So for example, if a player sends you film, do you make a highlight tape for them? And if
Uh,
do, what's the cost of it?
I don't make them. I edit them. So either I have two different things that I do to two different services. I have just a professionally edited highlight tape to where an athlete will send me their highlight tape that they created. and I will go behind them, edit it, make sure that it's optimized, make sure that it's the right length, it has the best plays up front, make sure that it's not any special effects or any slow motions, and make sure that it's the correct type of highlight tape to send to a coach. And then I'll send it back to you. And then I have my mentoring services to where in my mentoring services we go over editing your highlight tape, how to create it, how to make sure that it's effective, and things like that. So yes, I do. It's on my website, which is on the screen right now, crossandcrownconsulting.com. Go there, check out my services, and you can schedule it and book it online. So you should always have a video with your email to a coach. Not always, you don't have to. It's just a little tip that I give my athletes, and things that somebody didn't give me when I was coming through the recruiting process. So that's just a tip that if you want to be extra, if you want to be the 1% of those athletes that take that step, you can include that video with your email to these coaches. That's something that's helped out tremendously athletes that I've helped and mentored. In my city and area. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still in middle school. Am I too young to start reaching out to coaches?
So middle school, I would say it's too early to start reaching out to coaches. What I would do when I was in middle school, and if I was you, is I would start looking at camps to go to, because it's never too early to start going to camps. So find some camps, some showcases or combines, put yourself in that atmosphere. Make sure to get you that experience and get you that those looks, because like I said, going to those camps, showcases and combines, athletes have got recruited and have got offers from those things at an early age. So that would be the only thing I would say. I would say start contacting coaches your sophomore year. That's when I would say start contacting them. If you want to be the extra 1%, take the extra step, I would say start contacting them your freshman year. But you want to contact them when you start getting film, and going into that contact period, because again, they can't contact you if it's football until September 1st or June 15th, either or. In my city and area, there is a 7-on-7 flag football league opening in May. Will scouts attend these games because there's no tackle season? No. I would say most scouts don't even attend 7-on-7. 7-on-7 is just a good way to compete. It's a good way to get better your skills, and people videotape it. You can send those things to coaches, but not too many scouts are going to attend a 7-on-7 game. Hold on, give me 1 second. Can you show me where you can find camps? Because I tried and I couldn't find many. Yeah, man, I can. That's something I do for my athletes that I mentor. So I would say take a look at my website, sit down with your parents and see if that's something you guys want to take a look at. All you got to do is use Google and use social media and use your resources to find camps. But if you want one-on-one personal advice to where you're going to where I actually show you and help you and plan the best camps out for you, which is something I do in my mentoring services, take a look at my website with your parents. If you guys have any questions, schedule a consultation, see if I would be able to help you and how I would be able to help you. So, go ahead, Julian. I know you was about to ask a question.
You showed a way how to send out emails. Does that work for high schools too?
Would that work for what?
For high school teams, I'm trying to find a high school team. I play overseas basketball in Germany, and I'm trying to find a high school in the States actually.
It might help. Again, I'm only an expert for college recruiting, and unfortunately I'm US based, so I'm not too sure about how to find a sponsor or a high school coming from overseas, or how to get recruited from overseas. I'm not too sure about that. I wouldn't be the person to ask about that, and I wouldn't want to answer that question for you and give you any wrong information. So I would say maybe try to find somebody else who specializes in that specifically. But I don't have any answer for that, boss. It could help. It definitely could help. Anytime you have a structured email to where it's structured out, it's broken down, you have your highlight tape and you're trying to get recruited from a school, it could help for sure. Delano Author said, what's the name of your website? I don't know if you guys can see my screen right now, but all my website, my book, my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook, my TikTok, my email are all on the screen right now. So crossingcrownconsulting.com. That's my website. You can get my book from there. Also, I don't know if some people on here have my book right now, some people don't. But my book, I do have copies. Go to my website, crossingcrownconsulting.com/shop, and you can order my book. It's $20. I'm telling you, this book is key. It's only 70 pages. It has everything that you need to know about the recruiting process in this book. So go get that. If you're in middle school, can you get questionnaires from coaches and recruiters? Yes. Does your books ship internationally? Yes. Or you can get my ebook, or you can get the ebook to where it's electronic. So you can download it to your devices, your phones, your tablets, your iPads, and it's automatically, and then that way you don't have to worry about shipping. But if you do like the physical copybook, yes, I can send it overseas for you. Go ahead. Somebody took their self off mute and started asking questions.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, do you know when they start responding, the college coaches? Like what date? Like do they do it in the summer or like beginning of fall?
They start for the contact period, which is June 15th of your sophomore year going into your junior year, or September 1st, depending on your sport. So depending on which sport you play, football, basketball, soccer, baseball, track, depending on what sport it is, it's either September 1st of your junior year or June 15th of your sophomore year going into your junior year.
Yeah, because I saw and I just wanted to ask you, make sure I got that right.
Yep. So that's when the contact period starts.
So you can basically contact them all year round. That's when they start responding.
Right.
Okay.
So coaches are only going to respond to you if they're interested in you.
Yeah.
Yep. So say you're a sophomore and you play football. You can start contacting coaches whenever. You can start emailing them, sending your film, things like that, which I explained. You can, and it'll help you get on their recruiting board immediately and earlier if they're interested in you. So that way, when your contact period does come around, that September 1st, going into your junior year, they can start contacting you, or they can reach back out to you, or they can start messaging you and replying to your messages. So that's when they start. That's when they start responding to you. I'm also in middle school. Should I be focused on making tapes right now? No, I wouldn't focus on making tapes right now unless it's just for your personal pleasure. If you're in middle school, no coach is recruiting you off of your middle school tape. So you want to start making highlight tapes your freshman year. Once you get there, you can make, if you play JV, you can make a JV tape or a freshman tape. And then your sophomore year, or if you play varsity, you want to start making a varsity tape. But I wouldn't focus on creating tapes in middle school unless it's just for your pleasure and you want to just see a highlight tape of yourself.
Is senior year too late to start contacting coaches?
It's not too late, but you are behind the curve. So I would say get on it as soon as possible, and also start looking into junior colleges and prep schools if you aren't being recruited as a senior.
I don't have one, but I just want to say thank you for the information that you've given us and taking your personal time off to share this, because it's really useful for us and we're going to use it. So thank you for that. Yes,
sir. No problem, man. That's my passion. I love doing this and giving it to you and helping athletes get recruited, man. That's my passion, and it's something that I wish I had when I was coming up through the recruiting process. It would have helped tremendously and helped me out a lot. So I just want to do something that I didn't have when I was growing up and help you guys get recruited. And then I did get another question. So in middle school, just keep training and posting your training. Yes, for sure. Keep training, posting your training. In middle school, you want to worry about developing your skills, worry about developing your skill set, your body, your mind. Worry about that, and worry about starting off high school on the right foot. And then last thing I just wanted to say, man, is thank you all for coming. If you need one-on-one recruiting help, mentoring, any type of help, man, hit that link, schedule a consultation with me, and we'll come up with a plan for you guys. If you haven't got my book, please go get that, the Recruiting Compass. It's on my website as well. And then follow me on all these social media platforms for daily free recruiting advice. I give out recruiting advice every single day on all types of things. So follow me on these social media platforms. And then the last thing I'll leave y'all with, man, is this information that I'm giving to y'all today is proven to work. It's helped numerous athletes get scholarships. It's helped numerous athletes contact coaches and get noticed by coaches. But it don't work unless you put it to work. So the information is not going to work itself. So I can give you all the information that you guys need. I can teach it to you. I can give it to you. I can give it to you in webinars. But unless you actually study it, unless you actually learn it, unless you actually put it into action, it won't work for you. So that's the last thing I'll leave you guys with.